Hello everyone, welcome back to Transferware China Pottery Hauls. So it's been about 2 weeks since I put out a video because I've been shopping. I've been trying to find transferware. And I tell you what, it's becoming very difficult to find these items, especially the antique stuff. And then also during this video, I am going to touch the subject about Google Lens. I know I mentioned it a few times on previous hauls, but I am going to be talking a few seconds about that because I've been seeing a lot of misinformation out there, okay? So when I present these items to you, if I know what they are, I'll let you know. If I don't, then I'm simply going to say what the item is, show you what I thrifted or bought at antique stores to list online. So when I list online, I go into detail with the type of item that it is. I do a lot of research. I do use Google Lens as something to place me where I can find similar items. When it comes to the description, be very aware that sometimes it's not correct, okay? We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so I went, so now like I told you in the previous video, I have been buying some glass. Well, this time around, I did not buy a lot of glass. There's a couple of pieces of glass here, 3 in actuality, but I did buy some beautiful porcelain. This haul that's on top of this table, I tell you what, this was in between 5 antique malls. That's how difficult these things are to get this day and age. This piece here is already from my collection, so I did not acquire this piece recently. This is from my collection, so I'm going to be featuring it for you today. Okay, so let's begin. Let me start with this beautiful pitcher bowl. It's in teal blue, which is a wonderful color, very difficult to find. It's so bright and cheerful and happy. I absolutely love this color, and I've spoken about it before on previous videos. And it's this gorgeous piece from the late 1800s Victorian times. And there's the crown mark on the bottom. Transferware, probably like 1880s, late 1880s, 1890s, this piece right here. I have sold this piece in flow blue, and he fetched quite a bit of money in the flow blue piece. A lot of people, this is a semi-porcelain. A lot of people ask me, what kind of porcelain is that? This is a semi-porcelain. It's not a hard porcelain like this plate here, which is a mason reticulated plate. Okay, so 2 different types of porcelain. This is a semi-porcelain. This is in actuality porcelain. Okay, and then I have this beautiful bowl that goes with it. Usually these get separated. There's a little glaze thing on the bottom here, but it's not a big deal at all, especially for a piece this old. I just absolutely love the color. It's stunning. So we got this beautiful bowl, and I'm going to put this down as I go along here. Then I ended up finding this beautiful set of blue transferware plates. Now these are antiques from the 1840s to 1850s. And it's the Rhine pattern. I have about 3 of these. There's still the sticker on the back. Very nice dinner plates. Now, dinner plates, very difficult to find in these antique pieces. Very difficult to find. You find a lot of the smaller ones, but the dinner plates are difficult to find. So I did have 3 of these. And then at a different booth, I found this beautiful. Now, this is a rare pattern, okay? Aurora pattern blue transferware dinner plate. Isn't that lovely? There's a couple of firing marks here, but not a big deal on these. And the dinner plate's very difficult to find. All right. Although when I find some, I scoop them up. I scoop them up because these items are becoming increasingly hard to find. So we got these here. I also ended up finding this beautiful blue transferware from the same era, no marking on the bottom. Now, is this a water pitcher? It is, but this specific water pitcher did not come with a bowl. The picture above this one came with a bowl. They're around 12 inches most of the time. Okay, so this one did not come with a bowl. It would be the size up from this one that would come with the bowl. This one would be on the side with cold water to tip or warm water just for you to be able to mix it together to make it possible to wash your face or your body, how you did it back in the day. No chips, cracks, or repairs on this beautiful piece. Stunning. Very nice. Then I ended up also finding this smaller one. Okay, now this probably would have been used on the tabletop. Okay, with either like milk or cream or a beverage, but most likely this would be a milk pitcher for the size of it. There's a little flaky there on this edge. It's pretty smooth. It looks like a no, it is a tiny little chip right there. Sorry about that. And obviously not marked. It's a beautiful romantic scene, British romantic scene. A lot of times back in the days we talked about British scenes. Then towards once you pass the romantic era, we would call it romantic wear on this stuff as well. Okay, once we passed that era, we went into the 1860s all the way to 1900. Then we had the aesthetic movement. That's how things kind of progressed. Okay, then I also have this beautiful set of Coldenware, and I have 4 dinner plates on this flow blue. Isn't that lovely? Nice and crisp, the pattern. So there's 4 of these, and let me show you the back stamp on that. Nice set of plates. No chips, cracks, or repairs on these. Very, very nice. Following with, I found this gorgeous brown Transferware coffee pot. It's Italy pattern. So it's like a romantic scene as well. Now this lid it's quite interesting because these were mass produced, so they were not very careful on transferring these. So you see some of the transferware on the tip matches the rim of the lid, but then the pattern on here matches the pattern on there. Oh, pardon me, matches the pattern on the teapot, right? But then there would be such mass production on these items that these lids didn't really quite fit all the way through. Oh, it just did a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of still a little tilted a little bit. And also, you can see the little marking on the bottom there. And also in this type of shape, because it was so mass produced, the type of transferred had lines, which, for an example, you can see here, it was poorly done, okay, but still very desirable today. There's no steam hole on that. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't have them. So that usually happens as well. Very, very interesting. still a very, very nice piece of English porcelain. And continue with the brown transferware, I found this soft paste, beautiful marbleized brown transferware cup plate. Now let's talk about the size of it. So this is about 4 inches. So 4 inches cup plates. A lot of people, this was marked as a butter pat. This is not a butter pat. So butter pats are not 4 inches and over. This is a cup plate. So butter pats are usually 3 inches, in between 3 inches and 3 inches and 3/4. Okay, so it could be used as a butter pat, but that's not what this one is. This is a cup plate right over here. Very, very nice item. I also have to show you from the aesthetic movement this beautiful green transferware terrine. So these are difficult to find in the green. The green is more complicated to be found. And we fortunately have the original ladle. It's in the Victorian pattern. And it's marked on the lid as well, because they didn't mark it on the bottom. And a lot of times it's not marked at all. There's some staining along the bottom, but that doesn't really differ from its value. Okay? So aesthetic movement 1860s, aesthetic movement peaked in 1880s. Okay? And then pretty much dissipated in 1900. A lot of people are collecting that kind of aesthetic movement. It was the Industrial Revolution, and things have become really dark and stale, and the aesthetic movement came along to brighten things up, and they used a lot of Asian patterns and a lot of birds and a lot of butterflies. So it was supposed to cheer you up, and it was around for about 40 years. You know, and now people are starting to collect it again, which I think is magnificent. And in actually, stay tuned to my next haul. So this was the last 2 weeks, and then I ended up going this morning and being very lucky. I ended up finding quite a bit of stuff in this one antique mall in particular, because I went to quite a few, 5 of them. I went to a lot of antique malls just to find what I'm showing you today, okay? Then we have this beautiful Victorian green transferware pitcher, water pitcher. And like I said before, I do pick these up. They do very well for me. I'd actually just sold a couple last week, especially if there's a lot of transfer on it. It's in excellent condition. Also with that came a smaller pitcher. Now, I do list these separate on eBay, and my eBay store is Transferware China Pottery, okay? And also came with the mug. A lot of times these mugs get misplaced, and today I have 2 for you. I have one in green and one in red transferware. Isn't that lovely? And a lot of people collect these. This is the Manhattan pattern. I think it is. No, I'm sorry. This is the Chatham pattern. I apologize. I have something else here that I picked up recently that's the Manhattan pattern, and very similar with the florals, like with the cabbage roses. Another piece that was very interesting is this beautiful spode, all hand-painted, gilded sugar bowl. I cannot tip it too much because it's gonna the dirt is gonna come out. And so this is a perfect way to show you, and it's got this beautiful variegated albino aloe vera in it. And it was quite inexpensive, but this probably would have been a piece that would have gone in the garbage because it's lost its lid and it's under plate. Even if it had its lid, it would have been still resellable. But like this, most likely what's going to happen to a piece like this, it's going to end up discarded. So this lovely, lovely person had a lot of upcycled antique porcelain. Okay, as she had this beautiful booth full of those growth lights, and she had flow blue coffee pots. She had such beautiful cups and saucers that the saucer would have been chipped or the cup would have had something on it, and she upcycles them and turns them into planters. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? I think I paid $5 for this. So I had to grab it to share with you that a lot of times if these pieces have lost their lid or they have a little damage to it, they can still be upcycled and reused. It looks stunning on top of a nice piece of a table in the blue right behind it. Isn't that beautiful? So I said, let me grab this little guy here so I can share with my friends on YouTube. Okay. So moving right along, I also picked up these two beautiful high quality porcelain cachet pots, hand painted with the birds, and these were produced in Japan for Gorham. And you can see the original sticker. I don't think these were ever used. They're absolutely beautiful. Look at those beautiful pheasants on there. And then this side is painted as well. Aren't those magnificent? And there's like two of them. No chips, cracks, or repairs, which is wonderful. Then following, we're gonna have to show you the red Transferware mug that I talked about. So these most likely would be used on hand wash sets. And a lot of times when you see the hand wash sets, the cups are missing. They get misplaced because a lot of people, even in the 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s, used to collect just these. So they used to misplace them from the sets, or they would have gotten broken. I simply love the ribbon bow on this Transferware piece. And this is also late 1800s. It's in the Uran pattern, made in England. Very nice. Followed, also picked up, and this is like out of my sometimes comfort zone, but because it was so inexpensive, I had to grab it, and I fell in love with the marking underneath. Okay, this beautiful copper, you can call it a trinket dish, a spice dish where people put their spices in it, salt. This beautiful piece is made in Austria. So there's a marking on the bottom, and it is copper. And it says on the bottom, made in Austria. Isn't that lovely? I simply fell in love with this little piece, so I had to have it. I know it's not Transferware, but it will be listed on our eBay store. Next, ended up finding these beautiful, two of them, beautiful hand-painted porcelain plates, matching pattern. These are definitely German, and they're hand-painted. There's no Transferware onto these. And I fell in love with them. They were marked as, I believe it was $5 each, which is no problem at all for the hand, and they're like 1800s. So these are very, very nice to add to a collection, or even to mix match on your china cabinet, or even when you're serving dessert. Very, very nice. A lot of my friends like mix match tables, believe it or not. Some of us are so concerned about having everything to match, and I find that a lot of people are looking for what makes them happy, what they fall in love with, and they just mix and match it. And you can mix and match glass with porcelain, and vice versa. So then I ended up picking up this beautiful Victorian Bach German, this is the Bergland pattern. Red Transferware Teapot. Very, very nice. No chips, cracks, or repairs. Willer and Bach is a German company that's produced full blue and transferware and various types of porcelain and dinnerware. Look at the pattern on that. Isn't that nice? And on this side is different. And this is to reproduce, okay, later on, this is to reproduce the romantic wear from back in the day, 100 years later. So there's 100 years difference between these two, okay? I also ended up finding this beautiful blue transferware. And this is a pattern that's very sought after. This is the Abbey Ruins. And you're talking about 1830s on this to 1840s. And there's a marking on the bottom. Now this would be considered a luncheon plate, not a dinner plate. I believe I already have, no, I think I sold it. I sold it and went out to Europe in actuality. I think in actuality that just sold. I had a client from Europe purchase quite a bit of the blue and white for me. She was decorating walls and she was looking for the larger plates, and I believe that the dinner plate on this pattern is sold. Okay. Then I ended up finding this beautiful Hollywood Regency umurlu with these little nut dishes, and now you know that's made in Japan, right? These are made in Japan. So you're talking about 1950s, 60s, so Hollywood Regency style, where these would be plated with real gold. And you can see that. I do have quite a bit of umurlu in my personal collection. I absolutely love it. And I did not have these cute little dishes. So I ended up getting that as well. I'm not going to list that item. Okay. Then, oh yeah, God, I have to show you this one. You're going to fall in love with it. Are you ready for it? Ta-da! Look at that stunning piece of flow blue. Okay. Now, this piece of flow blue, I do have a sugar bowl listed. This is James and Edward Company back in the 1840s and 50s. And I paid up a little bit for this piece, but the reason why I paid up was because the ladle is intact. Now, the piece on its own would have not been worth what I paid, but with the ladle, it became double of what I paid, because ladles are very difficult to find, okay? And there's the marking on the back. It's actually transferred in black. And this is the dagger border pattern. And it's very, very stunning. So, if you see a ladle, it's worth it. Pick it up. They're very, very difficult to find. We sell quite a bit of replacement ladles on our eBay store. If I find them at a good price, I list them at a good price, and they go really, really fast. Because, believe it or not, although it's not the same pattern, it resembles the same pattern that you have, and the value is still there, and you can, in actuality, intermix a flow blue later in here, and when you display it, although it's not the same pattern, it looks like it belongs there. So I do a lot of that on my personal collection myself. All right. Then we have this gorgeous Mason reticulated large plate. And it does have the marking on the back. It's not a very old one, but it's absolutely stunning. So I had to grab it. beautiful to display. Cookies, hors d'oeuvres, just right here in the center, cupcakes, little tea sandwiches. Isn't that stunning with a reticulated a border? It's absolutely beautiful. Very good. Then this is also a little bit out of my territory. I picked up these beautiful, it's a set of 6 Fiesta vintage water glasses. And there's 6 of these. Very, very nice. I just love the color. I fell in love with the color, and they're in good condition. So I said, I mean, for the price, I said, I'm going to have to do it. And it's got the Fiesta word on there. I don't know if you, oh yeah, right there. Can you see that? I hope you can see it. Okay. Then, last but not least, no, not last name but not least. So I have also this beautiful opalescent early American pressed glass with the with a floral pattern on it. You can see the bottom. For a minute, I thought I saw a mark on there. It's not a mark on there. And then they went in with a gold enamel and gilded the florals. You see a lot of these in pictures, these patterns. This daisy pattern, you see a lot of it in pictures. And this is early American glass. Very, very nice, 1800s. With its original lid. And of course, there's some little nips on the edge there. You can see that, okay? But that's very, very common because it's a very old piece. And every time you took this out of here, it would have dinged it or nicked it, but really nothing wrong with it, to be honest with you. A lot of people use these for the powdered sugar or cinnamon as well. Very nice piece of American glass. I love to find American glass. Also a beautiful piece of Victorian glass. It's this stunning large cased vase. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? And it was at this antique mall, and I've been eyeing it for a long time. And I said, I need to grab it. It's absolutely stunning. And it's got the cased glass. I believe this glows. Oh yeah, you see how much glow is in that? It's absolutely, oh, look how much glow is on the bottom. It's absolutely stunning. So I'm glad I acquired this piece. Then I have this beautiful piece of mulberry black transferware platter. I believe I already showed this one, but I'm showing it again because I absolutely love this platter. Now, this is a 20-inch platter. 20-inch platters were for turkey, okay? And the season is coming, and it's going to be Thanksgiving, so if I don't get to make a video, which I'm sure I will, gosh, Thanksgiving is a few weeks away, I will be wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving, okay? It's such a great holiday. And there's the pattern. Very, very heavy piece. Now, in terms of putting your turkey on this, I don't recommend it, okay? Especially if the piece is crazed. The heat will kind of, not only the sauces will penetrate onto the piece, the heat will also transpire through the poison from the if it's not crazed, and you're not super attached, then that's a different story. But be aware of how you use your beautiful pieces. So for now, this is it for porcelain and glass. Like I said, it's becoming very difficult to find these beautiful items. And going back to the beginning, I mentioned something about Google Lens. Okay, my friends. There was this wonderful dealer, the dealer where I got this beautiful piece of American glass, had beautiful booth full of carnival glass. So most antique carnival glass is not marked, okay? Except the Norwood. In the Imperial, they did some of it mark, but most of it was not marked, okay? Like Fenton. So Fenton started marking stuff after 1971. So a lot of those companies used stickers on their items, and most of those items have lost their stickers. Now, what we must be aware of is that a lot of the antique companies that did this carnival glass closed in the early 1920s, okay? And there came a company along called Ellie Smith that purchased a lot of those molds. So I saw these beautiful pitchers and bowls marked, and they were marked as Dugon and Diamond. And we must be aware that although it's the same pattern and the same colors, the marking underneath is very important. It's very important to research this stuff because a lot of this stuff was purchased by Ellie Smith, and Ellie Smith, which is also, it's very beautiful and it's very nice items. But it's reproduced later on in the 50s. Okay, so a lot of companies have grabbed these molds and they're still reproducing a lot of these items, whether it's glass, carnival glass, and the same thing comes with porcelain. And now, to finalize this video, without making it too long for you, I had to grab, I love reference books. A lot of people are so hooked on the internet. They don't want any books at home and all of that stuff. But I tell you what, Google Lens and Google has a lot of misinformation. So like I explained to you just now, okay? Another thing too that I love about these books, they're very inexpensive. I think I paid $12 for this, but they have the same book on eBay. Go and grab it, $6, $7, some of them free shipping. You cannot go wrong. Now, when you look at these books, you're not going to look at them to reference the price because this has been a big shift since the internet came along, okay? So for an example, the soup tureen I showed in the last video by Ridgway with the ladle in it, in this book in 2001, still sold for $1,000 to $1,200. This day and age, that same tureen will sell for $300, okay? So the prices have changed. So this is 2001, okay? And it has the old pricing. So the old pricing of antiques, if you are born much later on, if you're not born in the 60s, etc., 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 you will not know that back in the day, these items, this would be a $300 to $450 item. Today, we can get about $225 to $250 on this, okay? So the market has changed because the online services have now expanded the market, and now there's so much of it out there, which brought the prices down. So when you go into these vintage books of references, which they don't make anymore, you are going to see outrageous pricing, but that's not what you're going to look for. You're going to look for reference to patterns and dates. And it's very important because not only gives you history on the blue willow in this case, it shows all of the makers and marks that blue willow, which is an Asian theme pattern, the pattern has been bought out by all of these companies. And every company brings a different price. Okay? So this is a perfect example that if you find books on these beautiful items that you collect, buy them, keep them. Do a little I have a little library, okay, on these little finds that I've on these little books. It's because it's wonderful as reference. Google Lens has a lot of information that is correct, but it has a lot of information that is incorrect, okay? And I'm going to show you on my next coming up video, I'm going to show you another misinformation on a couple of figurines that I purchased the other day. Okay? So, for now is all. I hope everybody's well. The holidays are coming. If this is your last video before the holidays, happy holidays to you. And I will be looking forward to my next haul. Thank you so much, and until next time.